Welcome to Nerds of the Old Republic. I'm Adam.
I am Sean.
And I'm Mike.
And in each episode, we discuss a different book or film from the wide world of nerdom and pair it with a cocktail. Today, we're discussing Tamsyn Muir's Gideon the Ninth and enjoying a necromancer cocktail. But first, thank you to the Good Pods community who have helped us continue to rate highly among other book and media-related podcasts. If you enjoy our show and the topics we discuss, please follow us on Twitter and Instagram and say hello. We are at Nerds of Old Republic. If you want to hear what we think about many other nerd-centric topics, don't forget to check out our More Than Just Books blog on Podbean. And of course, please rate and review us whenever and wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're celebrating our 1-year anniversary, which, thank you, is the paper anniversary. I got you nothing.
Same.
Yep. No, that would have been weird if we did.
I brought gifts. I'm embarrassed. And a little hurt.
I'm...
Good thing you left them in the car.
Yeah, there we go.
And maybe I can return them.
Mike slowly shuffles a paper bag under his feet.
It was a roll of paper towels. We all know what you're doing.
But we are excited and grateful for a growing community of listeners who listen to our witty banter on a bi-weekly basis. You know, we've recently switched to that release format, so we're looking forward to bringing you even more great nerd discussions. Lastly, if you want to read and watch along with us, we'll be diving into the world of The Witcher next month. Oh god, I really should have read this 7 times ahead of time. So get yourself a copy of Andrzej Sapkowski's The Last Wish.
That sounds about right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Being Polish, I should have had that. Like, just, you know, out of my ass. But and check out the show on Netflix that we are excited about. Reading Marlon James's new entry in his Dark Star trilogy, Moon Witch Spider King. After that, so look for that conversation in the near future. Thanks again for being a listener and for sharing and telling all your friends 3 or 4 times until they get really annoyed with you. And now, cocktails.
All right.
Oh gosh, guys, I've been looking forward to this. So we have, is it a necromancer in front of us?
It is a necromancer.
All right. Now, Sean, you did the mixology on this one. Would you mind just starting us off? What's in it?
Oh, shit. Let me look over the table.
Or what's not in it?
Well, it's based on elderflower liqueur, Lillet blanc, sorry, a little dash of gin, and then, of course, our old friend from the last cast, absinthe.
Hello
So we gotta,
again,
Yeah, we enjoyed it so much last
Yes.
time that we just thought we would have some more.
We needed to use up that bottle, so...
Well, otherwise, we had to reimburse Mike for the bottle he bought,
Yep.
and we had 2 drinks each from it, period.
Oh, and there's lemon juice in there. It's freshly squeezed, bitches, so, yeah.
Is there, like, glitter in this, or am I
cer-
hallucinating?
It certainly looks like it.
Jeez.
It's like one of those like gel lip balms that a woman would put on that makes
From the
her
90s.
Yeah, that makes the lips all sparkly. Did Mariah Carey make this drink?
Oh, nice deep cut.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you know, the man himself who pushes absinthe on us relentlessly, Ernest Hemingway, I don't think he would be as excited about this one because of the glitter.
Yeah, I think... Where did that come from, though? I don't know.
I couldn't tell you.
But I'm hoping that, you know, Papa Hemingway is mistaken because we were not a fan of his drink.
No.
And I have high hopes for this one.
You know what? It could be the oils from the lemon. There's a lemon twist in there, too, and then maybe that's what we're seeing congeal on the top. I don't know.
It's, because it refuses to mix in with the rest of the liquor.
Not sublimating.
We're selling this one hard.
Unlike my feelings, it's not sublimating.
Oh.
So, you know, as you smell it, right away I get that absinthe
That's
nose.
all you get.
Sorry.
There's no lemon. There's
You know what, though?
nothing else.
It's called the necromancer.
Yeah.
It looks great. It looks like there's a slice of bone in our drink right
Hey,
now.
all right.
So,
Well, and Sean has also served them in these beautiful glasses with the buffalo artwork.
I wish I could give the artist a shout out, but I don't know who it is.
it's okay.
But then you should just take credit.
Yeah.
I painted these by hand.
There you go. Swirled the buffalo and everything. Well, gentlemen,
All right,
Cheers.
Cheers.
Marginally better.
the absinthe is not as up front.
Yeah.
It's a little tastier than the last absinthe-based drink we had.
Yeah, it's a little less aggressive, I
Yeah.
would say.
I don't know if this is something that I would order in a bar.
No, I would not.
Well, and with all the liquor in it, it'd probably be like a $30 drink too.
Yeah.
That's
It is raising the dead, though.
That's ooh. I like the pull there.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, the cut of your jib is perfect.
I could have made a joke about bringing up a bone, but, it's like, no, not this.
Not yet.
That's where this podcast is going to devolve into.
With all the necromancer jokes coming up. Yeah, I'm going to try hard to avoid it. Mike and Sean read the show notes ahead of time and asked me to avoid certain topics, and one of them was boning jokes. So,
well, as long as
I'm a one-trick pony.
As long as it doesn't catch us off guard.
Sean
That's
asked
fair.
you that because Sean just wanted to make those jokes himself.
That's
I
weird.
like you revealing it.
I stole his thing. I know I did.
Stay tuned for our spin-off podcast coming soon, though, where we just drink a different absinthe drink every week
Until that bottle is
until
gone.
we find one that we like, or until the bottle is gone. Yes.
Brought to you by the fine absinthe distillers of
right.
America.
Add 7 pounds. It's like cranberry juice or grapefruit juice. You add 7 pounds of sugar, you drink, and it's a liquid.
That's still shitty.
Yeah, that's all right. You know what, though? To quote Dave Chappelle, it'll get you drunk.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah.
It is like cough syrup and... Yeah, nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
For the Chappelle quote.
Yes.
Thank you. It is cough syrupy. I
It's
get
kind
you.
of got the crunk juice kind of thing going to it.
All right, well, maybe we can just distract ourselves by talking about the book.
Yeah, let's do
'Cause,
that.
You know,
All right.
we're reading, or we read Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir, and we usually start with like personal backgrounds. This is this author's first book.
Yeah.
So besides me seeing the cover on Instagram and in libraries, I have no personal background whatsoever. Like, I was excited for it because of the cover. I'm holding off on reading the quote that we've been saying all week, actually. But how about you, gents?
My beginnings and ends was when my wife brought it home from the library for me after I'd requested it. And I was like, oh, you're going to the library? Pick that up for me, would you? She brought it home and she's like, what are you reading? And she's like, look, this cover is really interesting. And I'm like,
judging me.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I had a complete blank coming into this.
So my history with it was that I bought it whimsically. It was on display at Barnes & Noble. I looked it up, and I saw that it was, very trendy and that people seemed to really like it. The description of it, I mean, it hit a lot of notes that, resonate with me.
Go ahead. You can be the one who reads it if you want
Okay.
to.
I mean, mine didn't say the whole quote. Mine
But
said...
you want this version.
This
Mine
is the
said-
greatest book blurb quote
Yeah.
I have ever seen in my life.
Only on the hardcover, apparently, because Mike has the paperback.
Yes, and it says this part. It says, lesbian necromancers explore a haunted Gothic palace in space. I was in.
Had
I mean,
me, yeah.
the picture and that alone. But this hardcover that you guys have provided goes on, and it adds, decadent nobles vie to serve the deathless emperor. Skeletons!
Oh, well done, well done.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's some fine writing right
just
there.
the word skeleton by itself with an exclamation mark.
But
I mean, these you say more.
I mean, the picture, the description, I mean, the swords, the space, the dark fantasy aspect. I mean, I was so in for this shit. I thought,
for sure.
man, if there was like a target audience for this, like I'm probably it. I mean, that struck checked a lot of boxes for me.
When I heard about it, like the way it was being described, it kind of reminded me of this terrible movie. I don't know if it was the 70s or 80s called Ice Pirates.
Never seen.
I don't know
but
if
it
you guys
sounds
have
like it's
ever
on my
seen
watch
that.
list now.
It sounds fucking awesome.
It's very similar in vibe, just fucking batshit crazy space, like pirates, swords, weirdness. This kind of was like striking that nerve. I'm like, oh, really? It could be like that. And then I read it.
yeah.
So yeah, well, I have a confession to make. When I was in high school, do you remember the Games Workshop store that was in the mall that had like the miniatures, and you would play like tabletop games
Yeah,
with
like
it?
Warhammer 3000.
It was Warhammer,
Yeah.
yeah. So this made me think of Warhammer a lot because there's an emperor, there's space factions.
Is he deathless?
He is actually.
Really?
He's an ageless, deathless empire, but he's kept alive just like a Sith Lord we all hate now by machines. He's strapped to machines and stuck there.
Does he have unlimited power?
Yes, he does actually.
Okay, well,
He's
then
got
there you go.
unlimited telepathic, psychokinetic powers that let him navigate the universe and controls other people around.
Is there a space fantasy that does not involve some sort of emperor? Think about it. They all have an emperor. Every fucking one of them. I mean, now I'm getting incensed because
Damn
when was
Trump.
the last Think about it. Dune.
We did Dune.
Fucking Emperor.
Yeah.
Gideon the Ninth. They got an Emperor.
Emperor.
That thing we were just talking about, like Warhammer. It's got
Warhammer.
Star Wars.
Emperor.
Everything's got an Emperor. Can't we have like a municipal council or something, or like a triumvirate?
Well, I think that was the idea behind Phantom Menace.
I wasn't going to bring up Phantom Menace because I literally
where we get lots and lots of like diplomacy and senatorial proceedings.
That's what I'm here for, man. I'm here for the red tape.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah, said everybody. I'd like to make a motion that we consider making another motion to go to war after we send diplomatic teams over to this other place. No, I just want to fucking shoot something with a space laser.
We said people gonna die?
Oh. Save it for the next one.
Oh, sorry.
That's
I'm jumping the gun here.
No, that's fine. But yeah, it gave me vibes of that because a lot of the like space factions like have very strict religious rules and stuff that they follow, and there was even you could buy just the spaceships and battle the spaceships in space, which I spent a lot of money.
Sounds like a good way to get kids money.
Yeah, because each of the spaceships was like $30, and you needed like 5.
I thought $5 for a Ninja Turtle was expensive.
I know, but they all had like Gothic architecture on them, so it was like a floating flying buttress, essentially, that you would battle. I sucked because I'm terrible at logic and reasoning and planning, and so I stopped playing and sold them all. But that's what I thought of after I got like 5 pages into the book.
Cool.
Yeah, the very things that made you bad at that game became a strength when you became an English teacher and a podcaster.
I appreciate that.
That's part of your nerd credentials, Adam.
Wow. I didn't even know.
Nerd up.
All right. So, I appreciate coming into a book blank, because so much of the content we've had history, which is great in some ways because, it's revisiting an old friend or it's adding on to something you know about. But I guess we should just kind of go into the first thought we had was, does that whole necromantic fantasy magic ideas fit with the sci-fi? How'd that jive for you guys?
When I read or watch stories set in space, I actually prefer the fantasy. That's just me as a consumer of fiction, but that's why I love Dune. That's why I love Star Wars. Because they're not really science fiction. There's technology in their space, but they're fantasy, and they hit all the tropes and all the fictional narrative expectations of a fantasy. That was another thing that attracted me to this. Like, they're in space, but there's very little, science fiction the technology is central to the plot. And that doesn't really exist here. I mean, there's references to machines, but those aren't explained, like how they work. In fact, the characters in the book don't know how half the shit works. It's like described as ancient, and there's one point where they're like, the water pipes were surprised to be being used.
Yeah,
you remember that?
In the second or in the study they went to where they got the first theorem.
Right,
it's all very 20th century feeling. Actually,
so it has a very fantasy in space feel. Mm-hmm. And it has a very dark, Gothic fantasy in space feel, which, again, I mean, there's a lot more to say about it, but just to answer that specific question, I loved that. That worked for me.
Yeah, Sean?
I'm a fantasy first guy, too, all the time. Like, that's what makes Star Wars so interesting to me is the fantasy aspects of it, like, laser swords.
Yep.
But,
he says wearing his Mandalorian shirt.
But that's coming later.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Something in reading this book didn't connect with me. And we can get into it as we get into more topics, but I mean, the space part almost felt like an afterthought. Like, this whole thing could have taken place on one planet. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it was almost like needlessly shoehorned into the story. And there was all this world building of this, solar system spanning, I'm assuming, or even more, empire with all these planets, 9 planets, I'm assuming again, and all this stuff. But none of that mattered. None of that really meant anything in the end. And like, even when like you get, should I spoil the end? Is that okay? Can I get there already?
We always assume that people have read the book or they're going to read it based on the strength of our commentary of the book. So yeah, excellent.
Well, when the Emperor finally like appears and it's like on his flagship and all that, it's like, I mean, it just didn't feel like anything. Like, I expect when there's space fantasy, some sort of grandeur.
Yeah.
With the fact that it is sort of like tangential to sci-fi, but there's still that like epic scope. Like Star Wars, the Star Destroyers are always menacingly huge. Or like there's just that like that element of it that blends so well with the fantasy, and this it didn't work for me.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think that it worked for me in the beginning, and then it kind of lost the way along the way. I remember when I, first was pitching this book as a possibility, I was about 90 pages in, and I was fucking loving it at that point. I think all the stuff where we're on or at the house, the ninth house, it really takes its time. It establishes the characters. The dialogue between the two of them, Gideon and Harrowhark, I think is just fucking fantastic. It describes like where they are, right down to like the bioluminescent like dust on the like Gothic spires, and
it
like
looks
all
like
that
it's
shit.
glitter raining down.
Yeah, and like if there were so many times where I would pause and I would picture that shit, like where they go down into like the sub basement and like they're searching through like ancient swords to find like just the one she needs. Like there was so much shit there that I was like, this is fucking awesome. It's fantastic. Then as soon as the plot like kicked in and they went to like the first planet or whatever it's called, the house of the first
Canaan house.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Then it became like Clue, the board game.
Yes.
I mean, it just lost all that shit
It
very
was
quickly.
like Clue.
Yeah.
Oh my god, great. Yes.
Well, yeah, there you go. Mike can have that bell. No, let it ring next time.
Oh, sorry.
Let it ring out. All right, so
There you go.
I always like to be devil's advocate. Maybe it's just, teacher training kicking in. This is the first book of 4. And so I'm thinking that we're going to see more of that universe expand out. Now, granted in the first episode of Star Wars, because that's to which we're comparing it currently, just in conversation, I know we saw a few planets in that first movie itself. I'm hoping that it plays more into, once we see Harrowhark being a lictor. Is that how we're saying it?
Sure.
Yeah.
So if you're just tuning in for the first time on the podcast, I'm the guy who doesn't pronounce things correctly. So I'm sorry, you can cringe. It's okay. So like maybe as she travels, either with the Emperor or gets sent out on missions or whatever a lictor does, we'll see more of that grand universe.
Yeah, but I take issue with that because when you're creating like a singular novel, which, yes, granted, it's part of a larger grouping of novels, but it should still have the ability to stand on its own. And if I have to, like, for that kind of world-building payoff, if I have to wait that long for it, I feel like that's a miss.
That's fair.
Like, she built a lot of really, like you were saying, Mike, a lot of really interesting ideas with just some really cool shit. And then it's, like, completely forgotten. Yeah. There's no, like, like a good narrative. There's payoff for that kind of stuff. And there was zero payoff to any of the world building she did, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't disagree. There was enough here, mostly just because I really like the idea, the concept, and I like the atmosphere in parts of the book, that I might... continue on and hope that, this was her first book. It was a first novel. And, maybe there's enough like fans of the series that maybe it improves and maybe, the narrative gets tighter and the stuff that works comes out. But this book both impressed me and like severely disappointed me all at the same time.
I agree with that take.
You know what? That's a fair middle ground. Especially so we don't piss off the Gideon fans because they are rabid on the internet.
Are they?
It's rivaling Hunger Games fans.
No shit.
From what I can see on the web.
We got to make this disclaimer. I think we need to do this as much as we can.
Piss off the fans?
Well, yeah, but besides pissing people off, because that gets clicks.
Sure.
We are English teachers. We are students of literature and the form. And I think we're nitpicking things because that's what we do. We analyze, we dissect.
We destroy the things you love.
Yeah, exactly. I enjoyed reading the book. I kept picking it up. I kept
really
reading
enjoyed
it. I didn't sit there and go like, fuck this! I took that back out. Thank you.
There you go. I took it last episode. If you haven't listened, go back and listen to it.
Yeah. Like, always listen to our old stuff. Back catalog is great. But I think we're gonna be critical because that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
In the end, I think all three of us enjoyed reading it. It's not like I'm sitting there going like this was like a death slog to get through. It wasn't. It was enough enjoyment there that I think she did a fine job with this. It's just there are certain things that we wanted more out of.
Yeah, sure. And I think there's a role for criticism as opposed to mindless trolling or something.
Yeah,
like
which
that,
is not what
what we're doing.
We do that on the socials. You're here for the intelligence. The socials is where we troll people. But yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think it's because we like it so much. We pick because we liked it.
Yeah.
True.
Right? Like we nitpick.
You only hurt the ones you love.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, I must be loved a lot.
Although I did read the overview of the next novel. I'm not going to go there.
No.
See, I did too, and
I didn't yet.
That's what made me interested.
Really?
Yeah, it's
you and I had the opposite reaction. I read it, I was going like, what the fuck?
Really?
I'm not so
maybe you read a more detailed one. I read the this blurb on the cover.
No, I read the Wikipedia overview.
Oh, okay. I didn't
necromancers.
Yeah, no, I didn't get skeletons. Yeah. I got a little bit more into it. I'm like, she goes in some weird places.
See, look how detailed you are. I saw skeletons, and I was like, I'm in. So it sounds interesting to me.
It doesn't take much for me either, so don't feel bad.
It's all good. I'm in the school of Tolkien where everything was minutely poured over for decades before he finally put it to print,
She didn't create her own language. Fuck her.
Yeah, exactly.
What's actually making these skeletons adhere together? Is it some sort of adhesive, or...?
I need to create some sort of a mythology that explains all of this.
I need an appendix for Thanergy, please. What the fuck? You need to explain that shit, and if it's not deeper than George Lucas and metachlorians, go fuck yourself.
I think you mentioned an appendix. We got to talk about it because Mike and I both had the same take. I'm not sure how you felt about it, but I could not keep track of anybody in this goddamn book.
Oh god, no. I had so much trouble.
Gideon and Harrow were the only ones that I was like, I actually knew who they were.
And Dulcinea.
Maybe that one. Yeah, towards the end, there was a few that she focused on. I'm like, okay, I'm getting a sense of who they are, but like from the point where everyone lands in their shuttles to the point where it's like, okay, we're walking through the castle, this person does this person... I'm like, who the hell are these people? I forgot there's a dramatis personae in the front because I just didn't go back to look.
Yeah, and I think that's a great... when you get into epic fantasy, it's not uncommon for us to read books that have many, many, many characters.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And either the author does just a really nice job with the narrative to the point where you don't need to go anywhere else. They situate you in that world and you know who the characters are. Or... you're enjoying the plot so much that you're motivated to put in the work, whether that's a dramatis personae or going on the internet and bringing up a reading guide or whatever. And so so you can keep track of who those characters are. I quickly figured out when they got to Canaan House, I was like, well, I'm just if I'm vaguely aware of what Gideon and Harrowhawk are doing, I'm like, I'm
fine.
good. I don't need to know who these people are.
Oh, that's a cavalier. That's a necromancer. And sometimes I got those confused, but not enough where I got really off.
So once they start doing the bad mojo magic, I was like, that's a necromancer. Right. I'm okay now.
Just to underscore the math behind this problem, though, right? There's 9 houses, and there's at least 2, if not more. From each house.
Didn't the third house had 3, right?
Right, twins exactly. So, and they all have, space names, right? Which is confusing. Then they have nicknames. Then they have their positions or their titles, and then they also get referred to by their numbers all the time, right?
Which did help me a little bit in sorting out who is who.
The numbers helped,
If you go back to the front of the book, it's like the 9th house. Keepers of the Locked Tomb and all this other stuff.
But it's another moniker to remember. And if you're already talking about 9 houses with you're already talking about, let's say, 20 characters, right? And then on top of that, you've got the nicknames and you've got the honorifics and you've got the numbers. I mean, you're looking at 35, 40, 45 different names you're trying to remember for these characters. And they just pop in for dialogue once in a while.
Yeah. It's like you look at the main characters. You got Gideon. You got Gideon the Ninth. Griddle. Right. I think there was at least one other one she was called. Nav. Gideon Nav. And then there's Harrowhawk Nonagesimus. Harrow. And then what is it? The Reverend Daughter. All
Reverend
these...
Daughter. The Daughter of the Locked Tomb.
Yeah.
The oh my god.
We're not stealing from the lightning round here, by the way, are we?
No, I went deeper on the lightning round. Good luck.
Okay. It's like friggin' she had a name fetish.
Yeah.
And it's I just want to create names. And then the story came from the names.
It's my random name generator.
Yeah.
But that being said, I did find the names appropriate, and this is kind of a good time to switch over to the language, because sometimes it's very highly elevated,
Yeah.
almost like formal Renaissance, and because of the social structure, I think.
Right.
You know, the hierarchy between the necromancers, the calves, teacher, poor teacher, just gets teacher.
Fuck that guy.
The teachers
What a tool.
always get fucked over.
Amen. And then
He was dead anyway.
But then you get like
True.
Gideon, who's like
we all are, anyway.
yeah.
Reading, no,
You can't see it, but I'm pouring one out for all of you right now.
Sorry, Adam, you were making some kind of intelligent point here.
Oh, thanks. Well, faking it. No, I was just going to ask about the language, because it's very elevated at some points where,
but-
Adam
hasn't done his sex references in a while.
I have not. I've slowed that down.
I'm gonna allow faking it to get
All
in
right.
there. To get in there.
That's very
I get
kind
that.
of you.
And then at other times, Gideon is very current with the language and the way that they speak. So, what did you think of that?
This is one thing I thought was brilliant about the book. I think that is a really, really hard line to walk. She's bringing in all, like you said, all the old Gothic shit.
Mm-hmm.
This is like reading, Bram Stoker or something.
Cloistered nuns of the locked tomb
Exactly.
who are praying on their knuckles.
It's that very decorated prose of that is traditional for the Gothic genre. But then she's inserting all this modern parlance. Gideon will suddenly, be like, that's
Fuck that
boss.
shit.
Or yeah, exactly.
Fuck.
Right. Which I think, that would be really easy to fuck up. Either because, A, it wouldn't work. It would clash. Or B, because it would be an interesting gimmick that would have a shelf life and run out.
Yeah.
And somehow, Tamsyn Muir does this, for me, I thought, brilliantly. Like, at the end of the book, I was still laughing at some of that shit. Mm-hmm. You'd have this, paragraph of, really old-fashioned-y Gothic prose, and then, Gideon would say something, really clever and modern, and, I just was still chuckling to it. I think that the author must have worked hard on that, or else it just comes very naturally to her. But I thought that was one of the strongest points of the book.
Really nice. This is where you're wrong, and I'm gonna have to be counterpoint.
Sure, that doesn't happen very often.
I'm just for the conflict, because the internet likes conflict.
Oh, we gotta have drama.
Yeah.
Some parts were okay with that, but I found it kind of jarring at times. It's like, it's like pick a fucking voice, okay? And it's like, I. All right, I'm just gonna say it. I felt like there was just too much millennial in this goddamn book.
Nobody said the words "okay, boomer."
Yeah, but I felt like it.
This book came out before that phrase came out.
old.
Otherwise, that might have been
2019, right?
Oh,
2019 was around the time that OK Boomer.
I don't know.
was,
Maybe not.
And she's a Kiwi, a New Zealander, so that's a different.
There was,
dialect.
what was funny? I kept reading and I kept picking up on some of those, Australian, New Zealandy kind of subtext in some of the writing, and I'm like, oh, that's cool because I have family in Australia, and it's shout out to Australia, some of our downloaders.
Yeah,
And New Zealand by proximity, but I just felt
didn't see any on the map actually.
I like the like you said, the decorated prose was just interesting, and it was always with the world building part of things. But then when she got into the dialogue and the character stuff, it's it felt like a child was writing it. It's I've read fan fiction from some of my students at school that felt like this same kind of voice, and to me it was just sort of I at times it was good, like you said, but most of the time I sat there going oh, really?
This is one of those things that probably depends on the reader.
It's
and
a very specific
we should
thing.
point out that, Sean is the oldest person in the podcast.
This is true.
By far.
Yeah,
And-
I'm a whole rotation around the sun older than you, Mike. Exactly.
Sean is
today.
exactly 1 year.
They do share a
older than
birthday.
me. That's
Yeah.
correct.
So-
Fucking weird as that is.
I'm gonna be the stereotypical host role and say, well, what if it was to denote the different social positions?
Well, that's another point.
Right.
Gideon was abandoned on,
turd.
but she was abandoned on the Ninth there as a baby. Why does she not have the same basic thought, speech, everything else is ever? It's she's different because we find. Well, I know why she's different.
You can
you
go
guys
for
don't
it.
know why
Yeah.
she's different, but
Yeah,
she's-
you could say it.
Well, I'm spoiling it from the Wikipedia read I did.
Oh, yeah, don't do that.
I'm not gonna do it.
Did you
Keep
not
it within
finish?
text
no,
one.
no.
Well, because you said you're spoiling from the Wikipedia read.
Yeah, of the second book.
Oh, the second.
Yeah, so I don't want to.
But
that's fine.
Stick to book one.
She's from, and that's another thing that pissed me off. It's like she builds up this whole Gideon comes from somewhere else. We don't know her mom. Blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, I get you want to save some things for the later books, but there needs to be another thread towards the end that pulls that back. It wasn't there.
She was born of the Force, Sean.
You don't
Just
know.
like Rey.
She wasn't. That's the thing.
I'm sorry, that's my beef. That's my beef with Star Wars. Right? Fucking immaculate conception of Rey and Luke. Go fuck yourself. I mean, not Luke.
No, Rey wasn't born of the Force. She was Palpatine's son's kid.
And Luke
I refuse
was not
to accept it as
immaculate
canon.
conception.
Yeah, that
Anakin,
I walk
Anakin,
back
the
right
chosen
away.
one.
Anakin
God
was.
damn it, Anakin!
I walk back my statement. I'm going to get my ass handed to me when it comes to Star Wars, for
No,
sure.
but anyway, I don't even know where the fuck I was going with this.
Language. You didn't like the
Yeah.
fact that Gideon was colloquial and everyone else was high, ornate, gothic.
Right. Now, for style points, fine, great, that works. But there was no reasoning behind it. Nothing. And then, like, oh, man. Then, like, the friggin', like, oh, we've got the, like, all of this, what do they call it? The army or the military she wants to join up with.
Cohort.
The cohort. And we've got, like, all this other idea and these other things going on. And she's got, like, titty mags that she likes to read and, like...
Which was hilarious.
I
thought that was
I
funny.
thought that was
No,
hilarious.
that's really cool.
Bribing people with titty mags.
But again, it all got shuffled away to the side. Like, it
did disappear.
completely
Yeah.
dropped. And it's like, how many fucking stories are you trying to tell?
I thought, so when I got to the end, my thought was all of the whole, like, the heavy-handed first 3 chapters of Gideon being, like, you know, a lesbian was pretty much just to set up her infatuation with Dulcinea, that character. Because she was, according to everything I read on the internet after my reread, because I read the book, like, some parts of it twice, she was drawn to that character because, you know, she likes women. But then that was also setting up some conflict in the plot between her and Heroic and, well, you know, what happens later.
But see, I didn't get the sexuality of their attraction. I mean,
It was not
talked
very
about
strongly,
her, right?
Yeah,
But she
after the first couple chapters.
right. But the Corona girl, she was all over that one because she's hot, and she kept saying like she's
And
like,
every time she was in a tank top, she's like, I couldn't look away.
yeah, that's cool. I get
Yeah.
it. I understand that
I'm
part of
with
it.
you.
But like the Dulcinea thing, that was also kind of an awkward relationship. It wasn't
Yeah.
sexual.
You like
It
the
wasn't
dying
motherly. It wasn't sisterly. It was something else. It was different.
It was almost like a servitude because of position.
yeah, a little bit,
Right?
yeah.
Because Gideon was, I think, realizing that she's a fake cavalier, and this person's an actual, I'm using air quotes, you can't see it on the podcast, sorry, actual necromancer.
Well,
And
so was Hirohark. I
Yeah.
think it was more empathy for her. Like, that was the one
Sure.
that passed out when she got out of her shuttle, and she immediately felt this sense of protection.
Ran
Like,
to
I
her,
have to protect this person.
And
I
kept
think...
checking her out on the veranda and
Right.
like feeling that sense of duty.
Right, yeah. It was more of like that basic human decency. Like, this person needs someone to watch out for them.
Yeah. So we're kind of blasé about, like, I liked the fact that there was another sexuality represented in the book and that it wasn't heavy-handed. It wasn't like,
Super subtle.
Gideon likes ladies, and here is for you
Right.
a person who likes women.
But that's why, like, the thing on the cover. Sorry, Mike.
No.
It's like, it's not lesbian necromancer.
No.
I didn't see that. Why put that on the cover? It didn't matter.
That's sensationalism by Charles Strauss.
It's got to
what
be.
it is.
I think that I don't know.
yourself,
I don't know. I think that you know, like for me, this was another strength of the book. I didn't want this to be a book that was trying to be like a victim narrative about that stuff or instructional in any kind of like moral way. Like, I wanted these characters to be that just because that's what they were. I think that, I don't know, there's a time and place for, like, you know, the more... There's a time and let me put it this way. There's a time and place for, like, Django Unchained, if we're going to do the issue of slavery, and there's a time and place for, like, 12 Years a Slave. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I wanted this one to be Django Unchained. Like, I wanted
Sure. You wanted
the
the
issue
revenge
to
narrative.
be there, but
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be, like, the point.
It was like Saga. It
Yeah.
succeeds in the same
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just who they are.
Sure.
I agree.
And that's fine.
Sure.
I love that.
That's what I wanted, and that's what this was. You know, like, she's got her, as we've said, she's got her, like, titty mags, and She's got the hots for Dulcinea, and and the same thing with Harrowhark. We find out that like it all had to do with her like getting a crush on like the secret dead thing in the tomb.
Yeah, the beautiful thing locked in the tomb.
Right, and but that stuff was never like I wanted this to be more about like the gothic, space fantasy of it, and I just thought it was cool that these characters were that way, and I thought that was the strength of the book. I thought it was well done.
No, I agree. I think that's one of the things we were going to talk about was like the sexuality and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's, like you said, that's the perfect word. It's sensationalized on the cover, but needlessly. It didn't make me want to buy the book. No. It's like seeing that, I'm not going to sit there and go like, oh, wow, I'm titillated by this idea of lesbian necromancers.
Yeah. That is for the use of the word titillated.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm not. I felt like that was just their natural, it wasn't done for the sake of shock.
And I think that's like the second wave of allowing more than just cisgendered, straight sexuality into a book. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Right. It's just who they are.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I didn't take issue with it. I liked how it was treated at first. It was very like sarcastic, offhanded, introduced, and then dropped. I thought because of context more than anything. Gideon wasn't there like trying to piss off Crux or trying to like kill Harrowhark. And so I thought it was kind of like downplayed because of that. She was in a situation where she felt less powerful than she truly was, and so she didn't feel like she could take on that role of like sarcastic, either like physical or like sexual aggressor in that way. So like I read that, it was fine with me in terms of how it was read.
And I thought that even the blurb on the cover, like honestly, like I saw that as style points. I think that was sort of a way of like signaling like, who is the audience for this book? Like if you're
for sure.
If you're like a certain, I don't want to get all political here, but if you're a certain type of person, like you're going to see that and be like, this is not my book. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think it was style points. It was like, look, if you are a certain kind of reader who's like a little bit more like modern and cool with shit, then like this is like this shit's just like we accept this.
I'll give political. Are you saying Ted Cruz wouldn't like this book?
I don't think Ted Cruz likes very much.
I'm gonna self-ding. Fuck you, Ted Cruz.
Wow, we just completely alienated nobody.
No, exactly. Everybody hates Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Everybody
Even
hates
his own family hates him.
He is the least like politician in American history, right up there with, what's his name? Turtleface. Mitch McConnell.
Bring it back to the book, Adam.
All right, fine. All right, sorry.
Sorry.
Cut that and edit. All right. All right.
No, that's staying in.
You guys ready for the lightning round?
Let's do it.
We're going to bring it back around. We got 3 questions here. Now, this one's fastest hand, so I'll let you put down your drinks before I ask.
Wait, we got a bell in here?
You guys can each have a bell.
Okay.
This one's speed. Get ready.
I'm ready.
What is the 9th house's necromancer power?
Bone necromancy.
Nailed it. Yep. 1 for Sean. If you were with us last episode, Mike won.
For the first time ever.
Honestly, if I was playing, Mike would be in the middle, I'd be in last, Sean probably be in first. All right, ready? I practiced this one a few times. What is one of Silas's Octosirian's names from Gideon? Nicknames. She calls him a few things besides Silas the blank.
Oh, shit.
Go for it.
Brother That's Silas?
Sean. She does not call him Brother Silas.
Fuck!
Mike, you get to steal.
Oh, man.
I'm trying really hard not to like give you a hint here because I really want it to be a tie into the last one.
God damn it. You're being gamed against her.
No, you're not.
No,
I'm just telling you.
I don't.
The people like competition. No. All right. So,
she calls it. Oh, wait.
Go ahead.
She calls him Wayface, right?
No, I want to accept it. Wayface is a Shakespearean insult.
But she says it. It's in the book. That's why I remember.
What now, Wayface?
She does say it in the book. That's why I remember.
Can you cite the page for me?
What? Yes.
I'm just kidding.
It's on page 212, about 1/3. I'm like a Lowe's, one of those people. Like it's about 1/3 of the way down the aisle on the left.
What are we got? 212. 212.
You're like the Rain Man of the book.
I'm not kidding though. She does call him Wayface at some point in the book. or it's in like a description of him. But
He's not here. But
because I
really want to accept it, but I think Sean's going to feel conspiratorial.
You don't have to if it's not on your list. But I'm telling you, it's there because I am a Macbeth aficionado, and I mental noted that.
Sure. So you're so goddamn close.
Paleface.
She calls him Uncle Mayonnaise.
That I don't remember.
Baby Uncle.
Don't remember that.
Milkman or Mayonnaise Magician.
I don't remember any of those. That's hilarious.
Basically, all the mayonnaise jokes. So, like, Wayface was so
I'm telling you, it's in the book. I don't need a point for it.
Isn't way a part of mayonnaise? I'm trying to help you out.
I would suppose so.
Thanks,
all
man.
right.
Very generous.
This last one's straight subjective, so, you do you. What is the best necromancer power and why?
It's clearly...
Sean?
It's clearly Harrow's bone power.
Por qué?
Because she wins in the end.
Oh.
Like, come on. Who wouldn't want to summon a bunch of motherfucking skeletons to do your bidding?
Oh, honestly.
Dude, and she can make like a bone cocoon to protect herself. She's got some badass fucking power.
Mike, as a counterpoint, I was agreeing with you until you said the word cocoon, which reminded me
yes.
that a character in this book builds a cocoon around themselves of human flesh and fat. And that's pretty fucking awesome, just for sheer comedic value.
Would you rather be in a cocoon of fatty flesh or a cocoon of motherfucking bone?
I'm going to say fatty flesh just because I think as I'm picturing people trying to attack me and the sheer frustration they would feel and the hilarious noise of them banging away on human flesh.
Oh, God.
Let's be honest. They came up upon Harrowak in the facility.
You're right.
She was in her cocoon, and it took Gideon like nothing to break that skeletal cocoon.
Yeah, but we're talking about Gideon.
That's fair.
Who had like massive pipes and
she could do like
super
1,000 sit-ups apparently, and like 300 push-ups, no issue.
I think it's badass that non-adjustimus can walk around with like little tiny chunks of bone flake and just throw them on the ground. There's a fucking skeleton that comes out of the ground. Like, holy shit, that's badass.
What you're missing is Sean is rubbing in the fact that he can pronounce characters' names, and I can't. Not adjustment.
As evidenced by the fact that you've been calling her Harrow Hawk all episode.
Harrow
Yep. What is it? Harrow
Hark.
Yeah.
You have some polite co-hosts who
you are Adam the mispronouncer.
Yeah.
That's a nice. I like that.
Adam the co-host. Harold.
Adam.
Yeah.
Adam the mispronouncer.
Atom. This is why I let them talk and I just ask the questions. Literally. Maybe
it's better that way.
It truly is. Yeah, that's one way.
This is the way.
Just don't talk. Just don't. Shh. Just you shut your mouth. Right. All right. So I'm going to declare this round a tie. You're going to have to listen in to the next episode, which is the Book of Boba Fett. If you want to find out who wins, because someone's going to win at that one for sure.
Oh man, I don't know. Mike and I are both like we are.
There's a lot of combined Star Wars knowledge.
I'm out of my depth by fathoms.
Oh god, we are deep in the Death Star trench when it comes to our knowledge of that fucking.
I'm terrified of your technological terror.
You're out of your depth by parsecs.
That's true. I'm done, dear folks. I'm done. All right, so you know what? We would love it if you would look for a review of The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett later on this month. Let's be honest, they're the same thing at the end. And
the Book of Mandalorian?
Yeah, the Book of Mandalorian. And we'll be reading The Witcher, The Last Wish for next month. As always, remember to check us out on the socials at Nerds of Old Republic and rate us and review us wherever you hear us. Sorry, the necromancer is killing my tongue. Nothing is working in my mouth.
Blame the necromancer.
No, I'm just inarticulate whatsoever. All right. So, just to wrap it up, gents, do we recommend Gideon the Ninth?
Sure.
I do recommend it. I think there's a lot of potential in this first book.
Sure.
I think that the real, success or failure of the series, I think, for me at least, will rest on what the second book does.
Sean read a review.
Yeah,
you didn't even read a review. Read it yourself.
I know, but I gotta say this.
He read Wikipedia.
Yes, I know, which is like the cardinal sin. But I will say this: it's one of those books where I think you just need to do it yourself.
Yeah.
You just need to experience it, and you're going to have your own experience with it. It's going to either be really great or not so great.
Yeah, I'll agree to that.
I agree to that. This is one of the few books where I'm going to say that I'm going to be a completist and probably finish it. I dug it, and I want to see how it ends, and not just because Gideon's a ginger and so am I.
You've outed yourself now.
Yeah, I
You
have.
soulless bastard.
I have. I can walk in the daylight, though.
You're a daywalker.
Yeah, because I sold my soul, though. It's gone. Totally gone.
He has no shadow. Literally, right now, there's no shadow for him.
It's nighttime! All right, so you know what? It seems like most of us say give it a read and see what you think for yourself on this one. We're not going to say yes or no hard because, you know.
Very promising.
Yeah.
Tamsyn Muir has a really great, there's a lot of good voice in there, and I think it's worth reading.
For
Absolutely.
sure. Some good laughs, some interesting gothic revival science stuff going on. So check out Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir, and check out our next episode, which is all about the Book of Boba Fett Mandalorian, as we're calling it. I know we've already said it, but I'm saying it again one last time. All right, thank you very much for listening, and please remember to rate us and review us wherever you hear us. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.